What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's me, AJ from BLWA Diecast, and today, finally, we have the Hot Wheels Ferraris. So let's get into it. Alright, so quick recap. I've been searching for these Ferraris on the channel since June. That's the first time I posted a video of me searching for them. But in reality, I've been searching for them for many months more than that. June was just the first time I actually made a video out of it. So it has been probably 8, 9, 10, 11 months that I was looking for them. And I finally found these three in a Target in mid-December, and this one was given to me for Christmas. I'm going to be going in order of which ones the last one I unboxed will be the one I'm looking forward to the most, I should say. Because the first one I unboxed isn't necessarily the one I don't like. It's just the one I'm not looking forward to as much. But enough said, because we're going to start with the Ferrari F40 Competizione. And I know a lot of y'all are probably like, what? This one's not higher up? And yeah, honestly, this is a very controversial opinion. I don't care about the F40. I don't understand the hype around it. I don't know why it's that cool. I respect it for what it is. Super cool, like 90s supercar, a lot of power, last car approved by Enzo. A lot of cool stuff to it, but I just don't find it that interesting. But I still wanted the casting, of course. So, yeah, that's why it's first. Not because I hate it or anything. I just don't find it as interesting as some of the other ones. Usually, I kind of do a little research on the cars before and find out the model year and all that, so I can kind of add that because Hot Wheels doesn't always add that in. Forgot to do that, but I can throw it up on the screen in the intro. The F40, the Competizione model, as opposed to the LM, had a twin-turbo 2.9-liter V8, which is the same one as the LM, but this one made more horsepower, had 720 horsepower, 526 pound-feet of torque, and a 5-speed manual transmission. So this was quite a beast. And I believe this was made exclusively for racing. Actually, I think it says it. We'll take a look at the boxes. I think that's where it says it. This is part of the exotics line. It is 4 out of 5 in the set. 198.
Guys, I don't know where to begin. I actually did not know my microphone went out here, and I knew it went out in the next clip when I unboxed the next car. So I re-recorded that whole one when I realized that it happened and explained it there. But I didn't realize that this one lost audio too. So I'll just kind of narrate what I'm going through here. We're looking at the F50. I'm probably talking about the box. Who knows? I don't really know. I'm kind of just buying time, I guess, just right now because I don't really know what I'm saying. But yeah, I did get a new microphone, and I did not know it had to be plugged in. I didn't know it had to be charged. I thought it just had to be plugged into my phone. Evidently, it does have to be charged, and then you can plug it into your phone to use it. Kind of odd, but yeah, I definitely learned that the hard way, and on the most important video of the year, too. So that kind of sucks. Here's the back of the box, as you can see. You can read those facts, pause the video, and here it looks like I'm getting ready to open it. So we're peeling it open. Oh, it fell. First thing I noticed is that it's a lot like more of a mustardy color in person as opposed to on camera where it looks a little less mustardy, a little more just kind of bright yellow. It rolls really good. I believe I point out that it's actually a pretty hefty model, even though it's metal on plastic. It's still pretty good. I went through this whole thing where I thought I didn't recognize the wheels, but then I later do recognize that I'm just used to the chrome version of those wheels. I definitely point out the Scuderia Ferrari logo on the side right here, and the fact that there's no details on the back, which is kind of weird because there's 3 Ferrari logos on here and that's it. So it's kind of odd that they didn't put any kind of, rear details. They did do inserted details for the headlights, or, headlights that are part of the window piece. So I respect them for that. It's very awesome. I just would have liked to have seen, especially on, this is the first... Well, one of the first releases of the new Ferraris, I would have expected just a bit more detail on the main lines, just to kind of relaunch Ferrari and Hot Wheels. Okay, so I'm cutting forward a little bit here because I don't really remember what I said for the next minute. But here I'm pointing out, I'm kind of saying some people are probably keeping their new Ferraris in boxes and never going to open them. But I'm just kind of showing that the point of the cars for me is to be able to model them and kind of quote unquote play with them and have fun with them, and keeping them in the box, that's just not possible. So they're toys. Their first priority is being a toy. Yes, I'm a collector of these toys, but that still means they're toys. So I do like to quote unquote play with them, take pictures of them, do little dioramas. Okay, so this next part is when I do the next Ferrari, and I realize that I have to redo the entire clip, so I'll kind of explain more into detail what happens. But yeah, let's get to that. Hey guys, so unfortunately, when I was filming the 365 part of the video, my microphone died, and the entire clip has no audio. And I thought the microphone, I have a new microphone, and I thought it just needed to be plugged into my phone to operate. Apparently, it actually has to be charged and then plugged into my phone to work. So, yeah, that entire footage is basically trash. But I can kind of, quote-unquote reenact it here. So we'll go ahead and do that. All right, next up we have the Ferrari 365 GTB4 Competizione. That is a mouthful. This is a car that I genuinely don't really know anything about. Obviously I'm super enthusiastic about these Ferraris, but I'm not like a Ferrari guy in the same way that I love old Porsches and Pontiacs and Chevys and Aston Martins. Not just old, but new ones too. Ferrari's just not a brand I'm like that about. I really like them, of course. I just don't know much about them. So this car I pretty much know nothing about besides what it says on here and what I found in my quick research. Speaking of research, this car has 360. This car has 430 horsepower, a 5-speed manual transmission, and that power comes from a 4.4 liter V12. And of course, this is the race version of the Daytona, which I actually did not know before I, did the research on this. I thought it kind of resembled the Daytona, but yeah, it's actually based off the Daytona, so very cool. Hot Wheels Race Day, 10 out of 10 in that series, 222 out of 220, out of 250. I believe it was A case, which it says new for 2025 on it. So I'm thinking, is this a 2025 A case? Did this sit behind the doors did this sit in the warehouse of a Target for 11 months? That's actually insane. That's crazy to think about, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just understanding it wrong. Anyway. Here's a little blurb about the car in the back. And we'll go ahead and rip it open. Wow, that was really easy. Probably the easiest open I've ever had on the channel. This is the same color as the F40 over here. It's a little more mustardy in person, a little more lemony on camera. Good details. We have the racing stripes, number 64, the Ferrari logo on both sides, and 64 on the doors. No detailing on the back, which is kind of a letdown because this is a whole lot of yellow going on up here, especially because the bottom's yellow. I just noticed the tailpipes are a different color. I'm guessing the color of the interior. That's pretty cool. One of the defining features of this casting is the headlights, which are inserted details, part of the windshield, which I think is very cool. I love when they do that, like they did on the F40. And these are an interesting shape. I think they're pretty ugly, I'm not going to lie. I think this car is not exactly good looking. The Daytona is a good looking car, but just the 356 GTB4 Competizione is not exactly a good looking car. But I do appreciate how they did that, how they did the inserted headlights, because that shows they care and they're really trying. They didn't just print some bad looking decals on there because these are a very unique shape. Has the wide body kit on it for racing. These stick out really far. This is quite the wide body kit. I'm not familiar with what racing series this would have been in, so I don't know what why they need I don't know if this is specifically the Competizione that needed this or if it's just I don't know. Like I said, I don't know Ferrari, so I know the Daytona didn't have these flares, but I don't know what part of its very long name added the flares. But this is a very good casting. It rolls great, of course. It's pretty heavy. The Ferrari is pretty heavy too. I don't know why. They're metal body, plastic bases, not metal base or anything, but it's pretty hefty looking. And something I also noticed, the first time around, is that these are actually the same wheels. I'm just used to seeing them as chrome. I'm not used to seeing them as that charcoal kind of gray. All right. Well, that's going to be it for our 365 GTB4 Competizione. And now we'll move on to the next one. All right, next up we have the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. And I'm going to be really honest with y'all. Out of the three mainline ones the three mainline, mainline Ferraris that are out right now, this is the one I was looking for the most. I'm not a big, I already established I'm not a big Ferrari guy. I'm even less of a vintage Ferrari guy. I like modern Ferraris more. Just in terms of design, at least. And, man, this is just such a cool-looking car, regardless of how you feel about, its powertrain and all that kind of stuff. This is just such a sharp car. I do wish, this is the one I wish probably the most I could have gotten in red, just because this, it helps show you the lines more. I'm not a big gray car person in general, but I obviously had to get this. I couldn't leave it. This is a part of the factory fresh set, 5 out of 5, 191 out of 250, and this is part of the Q case as well, that with the F40.
here is the little description on the back. This car has a, I believe it's a, my notes are a little smudged here, but I think this is a 4.2 liter V8 with 3 electric motors, making 986 horsepower total, 590 pound-feet of torque total, and it has an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. And I think that's it for the packaging. I think we covered everything there, so let's go ahead and rip open this SF90 Stradale. I saw an SF90 Stradale once in person. I have that on my YouTube channel. I can put a little icon at the top there. You can go click it and check it out. I actually did not know what the SF90 was before I saw it that day. It was very cool to discover a Ferrari I didn't know about. This looks sharp. Ferrari logo right here. Scuderia Ferrari logos on the fenders there. And no detail on the back, which again is weird because like there's not really detail anywhere else. You have the 3 Ferrari logos and the headlights, but you'd think they'd be able to afford at least something on the back. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a Hot Wheels designer. I don't know what that stuff cost. You have the plastic, which is kind of like the frosted over type on the top here, which is a nice detail. I'm glad they didn't have it all clear because that would look pretty weird. You have these vents. They did these vents really nice right here, having it part of the interior. This one, of course, does not have details, inserted details for the headlight, or I guess I shouldn't say inserted details. I guess it's part of the windshield piece. But these are just decals. This would be very hard to include into the windshield. It appears that this is scratched. I don't know if you can quite see it. You kind of can, yeah. This is scratched. That is very unfortunate. I do not think that was from me. I guess I can go back and see, but see if I put. Man, that is, yeah, it looks like it's genuinely scratched. That sucks, but I don't really care because I have it and that's all that matters. Of course, a sharp looking car. Super excited to add that to my collection. I don't have many like modern supercars. I have some like hypercars and stuff. But when it comes to like modern, just, I don't want to just say just supercars. But I mean, yeah, when it comes to just supercars, I don't have too many when it comes to that. So it'll be nice to add to the collection. Love that silhouette. Great looking car. Great looking car. And yeah, so okay, we'll put this one with these and we'll move on to our final Ferrari. All right, our last Ferrari is the LaFerrari, or the Ferrari LaFerrari. I'm not quite sure which is the right way to say it, because I know like the Enzo is technically the Enzo Ferrari. I don't know if it applies for this, where it's just called the LaFerrari. But we're going to roll with whatever comes out of my mouth first whenever we're talking about this car. This is a Hot Wheels car culture. I don't buy many car cultures. Just not many of them interest me, to be honest. A lot of the castings I just don't care about. Of course, I was super happy to get this one. I looked for it at stores, but I knew I was never going to get this one at stores because if I couldn't get the main lines, I knew I was never going to get the car culture one. But I did get it for Christmas, so that is awesome. Here's some of the other cars in the set. I genuinely don't think I'd pick up any of these if I saw them in store, besides the Aston Martin Vantage GTE, because I do love Aston Martin. Bugatti Bolide, don't care about. McLaren in general, just kind of anime. And I have a regular version of this casting. I definitely don't need the premium version. This is part of the Euro Speed series, though, which I don't know if this is the first time Euro Speed's ever come out. It could be, I don't know. This is metal on metal, metal base, metal body, and it has real riders. Did I put down stats for this? I did. The LaFerrari has a 6.3 liter V12 with an electric motor, produces in total 963 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic. Or I guess I think it's a dual-clutch. I don't actually remember that, but I'm pretty sure it's a dual-clutch. We'll go ahead and rip this open now, because I'm doing a lot of talking. I didn't plan this video very much. Kind of just jumped into it, if you can't tell, because I was just so excited to get these Ferraris. All right. I gotta say it, I do not like Hot Wheels' like more premium wheels. And the same thing goes for Matchbox. Their more premium wheels just don't look good. It's like the rim goes, I don't know if you can quite tell, but the rim extends farther than the tire. Very small, like a very small amount. And it's not super evident on this one. But on some of their others, it's just so annoying. But this is a good looking casting. This, I mean, of course, is their, kind of halo car from the, 2010 era? I'm not quite sure. Of course, I'll have it. It'll have already been on screen by the time you are seeing this. Good looking. They definitely I'm not gonna say good looking. It's very striking. It's definitely not bad looking. It's just interesting. But they did a very good job at taking the design and putting it in 1/64 scale, especially all those like vents and louvers and all that. Very sharp. And I don't remember if it's on this car. Is it this car where the mirrors are different lengths or they're staggered or something? They don't seem to be staggered on this model, but it could just be because this is too small of a scale to tell. This black line right here, it looks like it's painted. I'm not quite sure if, I mean, I guess that's part of the car. It kind of looks like it's like a body panel gap. Not quite sure. Like I said, I'm not super familiar with this car. I guess I didn't say that, but I'm not super familiar with this car. And you got the prancing horse in the back and LaFerrari with a red F. Here is the base, and that is indeed metal with some detail on it. Do any of these have, I forgot to check these last two. No, this has some detail. And this has a little bit of detail as well. So does this really just have none? Yeah, not really. Interesting. Maybe this car has underbody protection. I really don't know. This has rubber tires, of course, the real riders, which means it rolls really good. Of course, it is heavy, being both components metal. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. What's up, guys? This is post-shooting AJ. I forgot to mention a few things. One thing is that I very much look forward to collecting all the other Ferraris that are out right now, if I can, and the upcoming mainline ones and Ferraris in general. Second is that I really hope Matchbox comes out with Ferraris. I like Matchbox more than Hot Wheels any day of the week. They tend to be more realistic. They have greater detail, in my opinion, and I think they just do their job better. So I really hope that, because Mattel owns both brands, they can do some kind of licensing thing where Matchbox can come out with Ferraris as well, because I'm really, really looking forward to that. That'd be amazing. And then real quick, I just wanted to share all the F50 I have. And I like the F50 way more than the F40. I think it looks way better. It's just more interesting to me. This is an old casting. This is from the 90s, probably not from its copyright date, 1996. So this is probably from right when the F50 came out. But yeah, I just want to show you all the other Ferrari I have. Thank you so much for watching. This is super exciting for me to finally have the Ferraris. Big moment. I spent the vast part of 2025 looking for these cars. I usually spend months looking for desirable castings, but usually not this long, and there's usually not this much anticipation around them. It's usually just me trying to find them, but these was, everybody trying to find them. So very, very nice. Thank y'all for joining me in this video. I know it's a bit longer than usual, but thank you for toughing it out, and I'll see y'all in the next one.